메이플 스토리 신규 직업 칼리.
Interesting way it seems, but yes, we are here again in Europe for the first time for LCR season 13. And yeah, we're at Spa, the iconic Spa, and it should be a good one, as it always is here in LCR.
It is absolutely indeed. We really look forward to seeing what's going to happen at this place that, by the way, is the only track to ever host an F1 race in every single season of the LCR calendar, of course. Due to the shortness of season 11, that actually meant that was the only one that held the record. It would have been the likes of Britain as well. I think Brazil would have also joined that, but sadly they didn't reach it in that season. But nevertheless, looking back to last week, of course, Leopard, where sadly I was occupied. I managed to tune into just the last few laps, but it looked to be business as usual as TMS Sora continued his early championship domination.
Indeed, it was, like we've said all season so far with Sora, it was a very composed drive from TMS Sora. You know, he didn't quite have the quality pace score down in fifth, but like in Brazil, took advantage of a collision. You know, got around that safely, and then just slowly, brought down the gap to Melanie, made the move, and started off, basically. That was basically Sora's race in a nutshell in Canada, and he has now got a very commanding championship lead.
Yes, of course, 18 points is the gap between himself and Melanie at the top of the standings. As all straight on the wall, nearly goes Jack Tudor on the first race as a UDP member has started. Not ideal at all. Speaking of not ideal, Alfa Romeo are currently on the first lap. Mac 2-1-2 instead coming up towards the Laycom section. But yeah, Sora taking the chance of an 18-point gap, which after 3 rounds is quite excessive considering that, of course, yes, he's won 2 rounds, but he's also had that 4th place where usually you see a driver sort of dominate us. To be fair, Leopard, I think you can talk from experience about dominating the early part of the season as you have done previously.
Yeah, but it is a healthy advantage Sora's got, and yeah, that's what happens when you do win 2 races, and it also becomes you get that advantage when the rest of the field isn't quite as consistent as you are. And I think that the only reason why Melanie is within the only driver within that race win is because he has been the most consistent, as Rock Morrow has crashed somewhere. If I get the track map up, he's crashed through Erosion and Radion, it seems. Yeah, there he is in the wall on the exit of Radion. Yes, and the rear of the car's just not agreed with what he wanted to do, and it's spam out into the wall at the top of Radion. So not great qualifying for Rock Morrow. But yeah, back up to Sora. Yeah, he's just been the best driver so far of all 3 races, 2 wins. Melanie has, kept up the best he can, but everyone else just hasn't had that consistency and therefore are already outside that race-winning margin of 25 points.
Yeah, which is incredible as lap times are coming thick and fast. Crown Milk fastest 33.3. TV8 Maris, or formerly WR Maris, goes 42.9 fast of all. Dynamo Dan 44.2. King Liam, formerly the man, the artist formerly known as Kingsley 21.25, goes P3 44.0 for those that get the reference. You're old just like me. Jack Tudor now going to the final chicane. Of course, he had a bit of a spin. The bridesmaid, TMS the maid, goes P3 with 43.498. Fastest in the last sector, though, according to the sector splits. But Rock Morrow, just going back to him, by the way, not an ideal start to season, of course. And this has missed the first 3 rounds as teammates to the current champion leader, and now has crashed out on his first attempt at qualifying since returning for this season. The American, not the ideal start you want, because the teammate to the champion elect. Sorry, nearly.
Yeah, yeah, nearly jumping the gun already. Although I wouldn't blame you. Because from what we've seen from the first 3 rounds, he is very much established himself, Sora, as the early favourite. But yeah, as we mentioned, not an ideal first race of the season for Rock Morrow.
No, of course. So 2 drivers out, 16 on the grid today, which is good to see. So we've got 14 currently set in lap times. Currently, the top 8 have done so. Big gap between Dan and Mac 2-1-2, and also Maffeo out on the medium compound tyres, the P6, the Aston Martin, who has been rather in a little bit of form. Of course, had that really solid drive at the USA Grand Prix, and then just last week, once again, pulled another solid drive, 3rd and 4th since, of course, a disastrous DNF at Brazil. So Aston Martin have to be kind of happy, really, with what he's done in the first 3 rounds, given that it wasn't the best start.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we were surprised to see him on the podium in Kota, but obviously, thoroughly deserved. Took advantage of the safety car and more of who it affected. Beautifully did Mafia, as did Real Still Go in that race, taking the victory. But yeah, Mafia obviously had a brilliant race in Kota, and then backed it up beautifully in Montreal last week. Started on the medium tyres. Fooled me. Well, everyone fooled me in that race, but I thought everyone was trying to hold off a soft tyres. I thought Mafia was maybe looking at a 2-stop, and then next thing I know, the spots of rain. But nevertheless, making the actual stop, Mafia still brought home nicely into P4, and has it's been a really, if you discount round 1, a really solid start to the season for the Aston Martin.
Yeah, and we wait to see what it's going to do for the remainder of the season. Melanie just on board there, just starts in the pits. Everyone really is coming in off that first one. It's a little bit of a lull out on track at the moment because there's nobody really setting lap times. The only one we've got that's just begun a lap time is the South Korean LCR Violet. Comes through turn 1. Williams, good start to the season, sort of petered out a little bit. I think, to be honest with you, the trouble is with the Williams drivers, I don't think they're going to mind me saying this, the pace, not the best on the grid. They're both fairly consistent, so they're doing the best of what they can. And 16 drivers on the grid today. It's possibly the smallest turns we've had all season left, but must be a chance to, a few things happen, they can get something in the points.
Yeah, so John, especially if Brazil and Kota were able to go by. I mean, they got, I think, did they both get points in Interlagos? I think they did. Certainly Dan did from memory. Got points in Interlagos just by avoiding.
Yes, let's not forget Violet had that 4th place.
Oh, he did?
Really good result.
Yeah, he did as well. Yeah, they obviously just they got that result by just being there. They were there. They took advantage of what was a very chaotic Brazilian Grand Prix, and they brought home decent points. Obviously, they can't rely on that to happen all the time throughout the races. And they, by the looks of it, as you mentioned, I'm sure they won't mind us saying this, the pace isn't there, but they've got the consistency to be there if an opportunity presents itself, apparently.
Absolutely. Well, Violet sadly has not ended with the way that I would wanted to. I'd love to be able to talk about him in the end of the lap time, but he's invalidated. And so is his teammate as well. So typically, at the moment, you want to kind of bring both the Williams drivers into the conversation. They have a spin. Speaking of spins, Jack Tudor has had an almighty spin heading down Pouon as I went on board with him. Got a little bit on the curb on the exit, done a full 360, hit the wall, no front wing. And the man that I said earlier, making a debut for UWP, he's had a torrid time of it. Still not set a lap time as LCR F1 Ben got to P5 for Alfa Romeo. You want to talk about a team that struggled to get out of the gates. Alfa Romeo really will look strong, but a P5 in qualifying would look a hell of a lot better.
Indeed, it would. They've not. We talked about the 2 Williams, big, consistent. Being there for opportunity to present themselves. Alfa Romeo, anything but this season. It's a very solid driver pairing with F1 Ben and Matt, but they just haven't delivered so far this season. Hopefully, they can do so in Spa today. I think from what I know, it's a track that they both at the very least get on with. So hopefully the pace will be there. Let's just hope they can keep it out of, one, let's hope they don't crash into each other like they did in Interlagos, and 2, if they can avoid that, let's hope they keep out of the barriers.
Absolutely, we'll keep close tabs on them as we'll keep close tabs of all 16 drivers on the grid today. Speaking of which, the champion-elect is flying through the second sector, TMS Sora. The man that is very much on a mission this season in the Red Bull has gone through towards P1. At the minute, his main rival is up at the front of the grid, so pressure is on Sora. Are we going to see almost like a tennis rally between these two throughout the season, where they almost serve and then have to give back to one another? Are we going to see a rally form? Because so far, as much as the grid has always been jumbled, they seem to be the two that are consistently towards the front every single round.
Indeed, they do. They are the 2 most consistent. We'll see if it's said the first rally. Nice little segue to the Australian Open going on this weekend, or finals tomorrow.
Always thinking.
Always thinking. But yeah, no, will it happen? Who knows? yeah, we'll see if Sora can keep it up. We know Melanie can keep it up. I think we'll see what Sora can do. He puts it onto the second row of the grid. Decent lap from Sora. Qualifying hasn't been, in terms of the poles and front rows, hasn't been what Sora's been known for this season, but the race pace has been phenomenal. So I'm sure, as long as it's on the front 3 rows of the grid, I'm sure he really won't care where he starts at the moment. But we will see, as you mentioned, that kind of like back and forth between Sora and Melanie this season, if it is going to be those two, which it looks set to be, to kind of just run away with it and have their own battle. Who knows? I can very much see, as much as a neutral would want to see it, I can very much see Sora running off into the distance potentially the way the first 3 rounds have gone. But you can't discount Melanie, obviously the season level champion. He knows what he's doing. Sora hasn't been here in terms of a championship fight. Melanie has, and that is what Melanie has to take throughout the remainder of the season as TVA Maris, or Valor Maris as it's the abbreviation, goes to the top of the timing screens.
Yeah, perfect lap time from the German, and obviously interesting that we've had 3 different pole sitters from 3 different rounds so far, and currently Maris would be on track to make it 4 from 4. Those 3 pole sitters, by the way, are Melanie, Amazed, and Crowding Door. So within the top 5, 2 of them, ironically, one of them is the championship leader, who's yet to put himself on pole position. But as you mentioned, not necessarily known for his 1-lap wonders, and we'll be hoping for 22 laps of absolute glory. To have to reference that one, of course, from back in the day. For those
season 5.
Trying to go down towards. Actually, it was season 6. That one. Because season 5 was the King Liam year. Do you remember we had the chaos last few laps?
I thought it was season 5 for some reason, but yeah, no, you're right. It was season 6.
Yeah,
they were both mental, to be fair. Both of them.
It's a rather common theme in LCR to have a mental Belgium Grand Prix. So please stay tuned, everyone. Yeah, we always seem to produce a barnstormer here.
Yeah, I remember that season 5 race. For any one reason, that's on the pad, as I mentioned. I think I mentioned that in Brazil, but yeah, no. Both races were just as good and equally as memorable. As back on to season 13. Is Maze on that? No, he's not. I think everyone's going to be peeling off into the pits and getting set for their final runs in qualifying.
Yep, only 3 left people to set laps on. I think one of them is actually on it at the minute. It's once again I've gone on board with the South Korean LCR Violet towards the final chicane. Gets on the brakes, gets nicely through the bus stop chicane. In 3rd gear, gets a little bit of a snap, but I think still complete this lap time nevertheless. Up towards the line, goes P11, 44.1. Now, in my opinion, could have probably been up there with Ben with 43.8.
Yeah.
There was a massive moment through the bus stop chicane, but it's a sign that time's still there for him.
Yeah, there's a chunk of time in on the exit of the bus stop line. It's actually got quite a bit of battery to use up here, so I think he's going for another run right now. So that'll be one to keep an eye on. I think he's just about going to get 1 extra run in. Although he is 9/10 down.
I've seen it all now. Sorry to interrupt though. I think I've seen it all. LCR Apex, as people have just seen on the time sheets and might be able to see on my screen, it's just on a 54.9.
Ha.
He's out there with no front wing and finished the lap with no front wing. Now, my only question to that is it because he was unsure about the time it would take him to go into the pits and get back out? So he set a lap time, so he's put him ahead of Rock Morrow, Jack Tudor and Joseph F1.
Not a clue, mate.
I've never seen anything.
It's a very
like
Dan
this.
thing to do. Know the guy. It is something he would do, say for the memes, as we would say.
Well, I know that Dan is LCR Season 1 champion. I know LCR has been going for a long, long time, but I didn't realise it went all the way back to before the era when they had front wings in Formula 1, to be honest with you. But he's clearly been doing that, so he's trying to replicate his Season 1 prowess, which was probably in the era that Jim Clark was around, to be honest with you.
Gosh, it feels so long ago, doesn't it? Gosh, F1 2016, those were the days, weren't they?
Oh,
LCR Season 1.
Glorious days.
Yeah, those were the days. But yeah. That is the new one for Dan, LCR Apex. That is certainly a new one. And
well, definitely one we can talk about. And it might also be the first time, I'm pretty sure that's not been in the 107% rules. It's probably be the first time anyone's actually not got in the 107% rule
That's true.
this season and probably in a very long while.
I mentioned that to him after this. that's going to be flat time. It's a 54-9. That's what it will be. So...
Breaking records, as usual. Apex, brilliant job, as per usual.
Well,
But anyway, back towards people that are going to get within the 107% rule.
Yeah.
Jack Tudor's now come around towards Arouge and Radion and not had a good qualifying so far, but it only takes one lap to get it right.
Indeed it does. It needs to get one lap right, as you mentioned. So let's see if he can put up a decent time here on his final run of qualifying as he comes through Lecom. And then he'll now
take it quite conservative, Leopard. Would you take this quite conservative? In fact, you didn't have a lap time on the board. Would you be very conservative around here and just not make a mistake?
It depends, I guess, what you're aiming for. You know, what is your goal? Not just in terms of the qualifying session, but for the championship. For Jack Tudor, no disrespect, I think he would take it down the board. Obviously, a time on the board will take him up to, well, you'd hope, P13. Which should be a decent starting position for Jack. Obviously, if you're someone, say, like a Melanie or a Sora or a Maris, obviously they've set their times, but if they hadn't, you know, they would go a bit more going pro fuel to try and get that lap time.
No!
Jack, no!
Finish the lap, you can still beat Apex, finish the lap.
No!
No!
Oh,
dear,
a travesty.
dear.
It's a travesty for the McLaren. Anyway,
so, back to the R1 lap times.
Matthew.
Yeah, sorry, Matt 212.
Just
Matt
gets in.
Yes.
Just starts his lap. Who's coming up to the line?
So
It's a Matt.
Matt 212 is the first one up towards the line. Mercedes just behind him. I believe it's a crowning door. We'll have to wait and see. Opens the DRS just about now. Amazed with tyres. No more lap time from him. P9 for Matt 212. Crowning door towards the line. Where can he go? Stays P5. Not to get his second pole position of the season. His teammate, though, Melanie, is coming through the final sector. And this is a real candidate to become the the first two-time pole sitter this season. Now down towards the bus stop chicane. 800ths up, as you mentioned, very, very close in terms of the timesheet. We'll keep an eye on cars behind as well. Through towards the bus stop. One of the real home runners so far this season. Second the championship. Can he be on pole position today? No, he cannot. 42.902. Not enough for him. King Liam 25 now round towards the final corner. I don't think he's going to be on a lap time. Is not the second to Alfa Romeo's F1 Ben. Can he outdo his teammate by a tenth of a second? Can he get himself further towards the front of the field? It's a good lap time for Ben. 43.147. And that's a brilliant job. Maris towards the line, going to the pits. No more lap time from the provisional pole sitter. Mafia coming on to find a few sectors. Jackson will go on board with him through towards the chicane. We've also got Sora, I believe, just behind him, so we'll keep close tabs on the Red Bull. Towards the line for Jackson up first. They are going to go P5 and 43.0. Here comes Sora towards the line. Pole position with an absolute barnstormer. 42.414. Where on earth did that lap time come from? From the man that's been consistent in the race pace all season, had nothing in qualifying, has just found pole by 0.3 of a second. Mafio towards the line as the last one. He stays where he is. TMS Sora, championship elect, gets his first pole position of the season.
What? Sora, where's that come from? You absolute animal. I mean, we were talking about how, you know, the one lap pace hasn't been there for Sora. Forget that, it's the whole package now for TMS Sora. He's on pole position by 3.5 tenths. What?
What a lap time. That is simply insane. There's a reason why we got excited about that, because it deserved that level of excitement. It is Sora on pole position. It is Maris right alongside him in P2. Melanie starts from P3 in the end and probably feels a little bit disappointed realistically for that. TMS Amaze starts from P4 with Jackster in P5. LCR F1 Ben, shout out to Ben today. P6 is a good starting position. Crowdendor 7th, Mafio 8th, Dynamo Dan in 9th, and Matt 212 rounds out the top 10. And we'll do a full rundown of the grid for you in just a second. It's time for the Belgium Grand Prix in LCR, the ever iconic. It is without a doubt one of the staples of the LCR calendar. Welcome to the Belgium Grand Prix. Our round 4 and our European tour begins at the ever iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. My name, of course, is the voice of LCR, LCR alongside me, the GOAT of LCR and LCR Leopard. Just a few minutes ago, we had a gripping and epic qualifying session. Here is your grid for it. So the first pole position of the season for TMS Sora lines out on the front row and gets the 2 crucial championship points to further his lead to 20. Alongside him is the ever-pacey TV8 Maris, making his debut, of course, for Valor Esports. Second row begins with the current championship runner-up of Melanie, the ever-flying Finn, starts from third, with the bridesmaid starting, who usually is second, is fourth today. Jackson starts from fifth for Aston Martin, with the Alfa Romeo of F1 Ben, with a really solid job given the torrid start to the season that Alfa Romeo have had. He starts from P6 today. Crowendor starts from seventh for Mercedes, with Maffio in P8 for the second of the 2 Aston Martins. Fifth and eighth, got to reserve respect for that. And finally, row 5, running out the top 10, beginning with Dynamo Dan and Matt 212. Fair play to those two for getting the top 10, really well done for them. King Liam begins the outside of the top 10 with row 6, alongside LCR Violet starting from P12 today. The Season 1 champion LCR Apex set a lap time with no front wing and acted like it was 1960 with Jim Clark before they had front wings. He starts from 13th today, with Rock Morrow alongside him in 14th. Jack Tudor starts from 15th on his debut for UDP today, and Joseph F1 rounds out the field after serving a qualifying ban. But the drivers are just now getting ready to begin thick and fast on the formation lap. One of course, I mentioned, is the voice of LCR, LCR, alongside me is the GOAT of LCR and LCR Leopard. And Leopard, that qualifying session really was one to go back and watch. It was simply fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of, brilliance, strangeness, if you will. The whole lot. Let's start with the brilliance, shall we? TMS Sora putting on pole position with, 42.4, 3.5 tenths up on anyone. However, he has lagged out the session just now, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to participate in the formation lap, and therefore, his tyres are going to be cold. He hasn't been able to edit the strategy. Or make any, little, obviously with park firm mate. But, any little setup adjustments you would make, like the off-throttle differential, obviously the front wing you can change at the pits, but you still, can't change it until the pit stop, the tyre pressures, stuff like this. He won't be able to change, unfortunately. The game's let him down, or his internet's let him down on the 2. And yeah, as you can see, there's a yellow band on those tyres, which will indicate, if you get the tyre graphic up, that he's starting on the medium compounded tyre. Now, this strategy can work. It's from memory, I think it worked in F1 Esports to a degree. Small problem. This is an F1 Esports, so the gaps are going to be a lot bigger between the 2.
No, this is far more prestigious than F1 Esports. This
yes.
is LCR World, let's not forget. And TMS Sora on that alternate strategy is not the only one on that strategy. Amazed in 4th, King Liam down in 11th as well. And as you mentioned, you can make it work, but the crucial element of it is you've got to fire them tyres and create an early gap, and then compensate for that gap in the later stages. Yeah,
it's the early gap. I think what really hammers this strategy is just the fact that, we got all these guys on hard tyres, all but 3. They'll have them fired up, or at least fired up to a degree, maybe not fully, but fired up to a degree. At least like the 80, 85 degree temperature, and then, within the first lap they'll get to the optimum range. The thing is, when Sora will pick for the hard tyres, because he has to pick for the hard tyres, they're going to be stone dead cold. So he loses automatically like 2-3 seconds of race time just from that exit lap, the out lap he does when he pits. So that basically negates the advantage he gains already within a lap, and then he loses more time because everyone else is on fresher, softer tyres. It's a real disadvantage for Sora, but if anyone's going to make it work this season, it will be Sora. So we're in for a cracker today.
Absolutely so, as they now park up on the grid. Joseph F1, the final of 16, ahead of round number 4. The first quarter of the season is over. It's time for them second quarterly reports. The rounds that well and truly can make or break a season begin now as we get ready for 5 red lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And LCR season 13 is off. in Belgium. It's a good start actually from Sora. He gets one of the cold toys, but a little bit of spin up in the second phase. Coming up towards turn 1, Maris is around the outside and take the lead. Free abreast going towards turn 1. And Maze lunges down the outside, gets both Melanie and both Sora, but then drops out and falls out further down the field. Melanie holds on to P3 for now. And Maze rejoins track just about ahead of Jackster. Now come through towards the road running for the first time. Maris safe for lead ahead of Sora, ahead of Melanie, ahead of Maze. Just not the start that realistically TMS Sora, the championship elect, wanted. Good start from King Liam, by the way. Where on earth has he come from? He's at the P60 now come through towards the Camel straight. As you can see, Sora weaving to try and get in target temperature ever so slightly, just trying to find any advantage he can, breaking through the one section fairly one by one. Oh my goodness me, great start from TBA Maris, just exactly what you do, capitalise on the cold ties of Sora.
Indeed, we said those tyres would be cold, they were, and even on the mediums, they were no match for the fired up hard tyres that Maris had. Now he's going to spend this first time trying to hold on to that. He's done a good job to hold on to P2 and Sora. Now he's going to try and fire these tyres up and just basically establish limitation from here on in, barring, any lucky safety cars or some weather. It's fair, it is overcast, but we'll get on to that later. And yeah, you see Sora trying to, a bit of weaving, trying to fire those tyres up. But yeah, I would say for Sora, he might be frustrated, but it's been an okay start, considering the circumstances, considering the cold tyres. Meanwhile, as I said, Melody holding up to P3, TMS Amaze in P4, those weird tyres, and King Liam, the big winner. Oh, I saved that!
Oh,
he's round! He's round! He's round the exit of Stavalo, and a good start. He made up a good few colourful positions. He's now lost them all and some. He's down to last on the exit of Stavalo. The rear gave way, and that was that.
Absolutely, just one slight snap and it cost them. Liam falls down the order now to 16th, but it's still Liam with no damage. That's what's crucial. Maris leads the first lap. Mafia just getting past Joseph at a really good start by the way. Matt 2 on 2, just battling away with Crowd and Dora, I believe, as well. But up towards the front, Sora, it got ever so close to Maris, and now I think he's smelling fresh blood in the water as they now come through towards the Rouge with Manny on violence at the moment. I believe we've had a moment from the South Korean, gets back going out of turn 1.
What's going on further ahead? It looks all nothing happening. Yeah, there was a collision between Crown and Gore, I think. I couldn't quite see, but there was contact with the Crown and Gore, Rockmore, into turn 1, just maybe some overshooting. Couldn't quite get a full view of it, but to be fair, looking back up at the front, Sora has well and truly got those medium tyres firing now. They're definitely the tyres to be on this stage of the race, and he's looking to have to go around the outside. No, they've surely not.
What an audacious attempt that was. Really wants to get a move on him. He's pushing Maris through this second sector, but of course this is going to cost him time to Melanie behind, so he needs to be a little bit more crucial and a little bit more careful with his moves, deciding when to go for it. But he's very much on the attack mode. We're nearly seeing two identical battles here, with the medium compound tyre behind the hards. You've got, of course, Maris and Sora, and then right behind them, you've got Melanie Amazed as well. Of course, no DRS just yet, but this time next that will be crucial. Watch out as well for Jackster and Ben just to try and hold on to that DRS in 5th and 6th and try and catch us later on. It's that constant talk of battle in terms of boxing fight that we've seen as Rock Morrow continues. The torrid starts the season for the second Red Bull and is crashed, and a safety car is deployed. It's a VSC.
I think it's the virtual. I can't see a safe ground track on the mini-map, so I think it's the virtual. So yeah, that'll neutralise things for a bit, everything calms down again. Only briefly though this time.
I think it probably annoys, might actually not annoy Sora, because I think we might be nearly going back to racing. It was quite quick, but it kind of neutralised, because obviously I thought really this lap was going to shoot the Sora to find the way past down towards Lei Kun. It depends when we get the green flag. We get it now,
yeah.
It's kind of perfect time to capitalise on that, because DRS will become enabled, but they're just having to wait and still continue to wait, and it's just ever long. It just probably annoys Sora because it's more time ticking on. Yeah. It doesn't need it. This is a lap that are crucial for their medium runners.
Indeed they are, and yeah, obviously the virtual safety car doesn't really, it's not like it helps his tyres in any way, it doesn't, it's not like he can stretch them any longer or anything like that. It's just, yeah, it's just time ticking by, and there you go. That one opportunity you'd usually have until they come gone. He's now going to have to try and invent something either in the middle sector or maybe wait for the bus stop. The only problem with waiting for the bus stop is, as you can see at the top of your screen, DRS enabled, so Maris will be able to just potentially have a go back down the Camel straight. But yeah, green flag once again.
Yeah, we're back to green flag racing. A pretty good start from Maris, actually, really. Everyone kind of reacting fairly well. Jackson and Ben getting right back on it. Dynamo Dan had a really good relaunch, by the way. Is now back within the DRS. And could be a little bit of an underdog in this race, really. The dark horse, you know, Dynamo Dan, not necessarily the quickest person on the grid, nor is F1 Ben, but so far, really putting on a show, and I think there's a bit of a spin there in the background. I don't know who that was, but I think they managed to recover it. Someone had a real big moment. I think it was Dynamo Dan, actually, ironically. A bit lucky, but nevertheless, Sora is all over the back, heading towards the Blanchimont section and the bus stop chicane. Going to find, potentially look, for the inside here. Might try and find it. Maris goes defensive, so I think Sora is now forced to the outside, but then, very nearly fought back, and Melanie is now right on the back of him. This could be a little bit of a Constantina effect, so Sora, I think he's going to be a little bit desperate, because you don't want to be in that position where your main champion driver, who's directly behind you, to let him start putting pressure on you.
He's waiting at the moment. He's waiting. He's going to stab the exit out of the source, and he's going to get the run through Origin Radion and use DRS to try and pass Maris. So basically, Maris doesn't have that opportunity to get back past him. He has the entire middle sector to get that gap. Maris has a bit of a moment through Origin Radion just to make it a little bit easier. Sora is going over the DRS and retake the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. The question is, will it last until the end of the race? It's on probably the inferior strategy is our championship leader. Will he be able to hold on to it? Will he be able to make this work? He's in the position it needs to be now, though.
But this is the moments that make you seem like championship material, when you can work when the dice are particularly not on your side. He's rolled the dice, he's not come out his way, but ultimately he's got to make it work. You play with the hand that you're given, they say in poker. He's got to do that here today, and currently has done that to some extent through this second sector, pulling out the gap to Maris, who just seems to have nothing in response as expected. And now the question is, how much does Amazed attack? Because he's now going to be the sole medium runner with us in this train if Sora can break this crucial 1 second curse, but he's actually all over the curb through the chicane there. So Amazed maybe not quite on the pace just as much as Sora was with his medium tyres.
Yeah, not quite. We've got this is a long track, and Sora, not only on the softer tyres, he did get pole position by 3.5 tenths, and that wasn't in qualifying where we thought he wasn't strong. We're in the race where we know he is very strong indeed. So, he's going to have the pace to break free. As Maris goes in very deep, he's going to be vulnerable to Melly now up to the source.
And no DRS. He's got no DRS because he already had the 1 second window, so he's not going to have it down towards the source to maybe just give that a little bit more of an advantage. Now it's all about Melanie doing exactly what Sora did last lap. Good exit out of the source, now coming down towards Origin Radio. I'm going to get the DRS, and we could see Melanie take P2, and Maris could fall down 2 places in 2 laps here, through towards Origin Radio. Watch out for Amaze behind as well to get the double advantage at slipstream. Again, good exit out of Origin Radio for Melanie. Goes the outside line. Maris very defenceless. Here comes Amaze, trying to find a way past Maris, trying to go defensive, squeezed into the inside, but still Amaze fights through. The Scottish courage very much on his side through lane com, and around the outside he goes. P3 for TMS Amaze, but crucially, it's nearly a second now between Melanie and him. It's already spread out between the top 3. Not very often you say that in LCR.
No, you don't say it often, but 2 of those front 3 are mediums. One of those in second place on the hard tyres, a favourable strategy, as we have mentioned. Amaze went for that strategy. He was there, he chose the strategy. Sora probably would have wanted to be on the strategy, but as you said, a bit like poker, you have to deal with the cards you were given or the hand you were given. So this is what Sora's going to have to do, and Melly now is going to try and put the burners on to try to stay as close as possible to basically make sure, basically stay as close as possible, so he is as close as possible to make the best use of the fresher, softer medium tyres he'll have towards the end of the race.
Yeah, it's still a lot of racing to be done between now and then, of course. We're only on lap 5, back between laps, but of course,
in terms
of time, this is one of the... Oh, yes, sorry, yes it does.
Jackster, he's looking for a way, but Maris in the middle of the road, but finally Jackster finds the inside line. There's a bit of contact between the 2. Is Ben going to be able to take advantage of this? I think he is. The switchback is on.
Go on, Ben.
He's going to get the move done. They're going to be side by side up to the source. Do you want to get this move done? I'm not even sure, because obviously got the DRS to the camel straight. Maris going down the inside into the source, into turn 1. He gets the move back, but he's going to be vulnerable to basically everyone down the camel straight. Can he keep that P4 for now? It's going to torrent a few laps for the Alpine. He's going to hold on. He holds the car, but he loses a bunch of positions and momentum as a result. Now it's Jackson going to have a go on Maris into lane com. Maris makes a late move. That's 2 lanes. Surely he's going to defend the inside line regardless. And now there's contact between the 2. Jackson into P4, Dano Dan into P5, Maris recovers to P6. What an eventful couple of seconds that was!
Just everything was happening. First of all, the save of the season from F1 Ben. I don't know how on earth they've corrected to keep in that direction. That was simply insane from Ben, the OG voice of LCR, showing that he deserves to be called the OC driver of LCR. What a brilliant display that was. And then incredibly, Maris defensive far too late. Jackson then stuck his nose in, kept his nose in, and then spun round TV Maris into a half spin. I don't know if Jack's picked up the damage, I'm not quite sure, but Dynamo Dan, the mystic man himself, is now P5 on the grid. I bet they're not expecting that at the start of this Grand Prix. What a first few laps he's been in the mid-pack as well as at the front.
Because Ben, he wants that moved on Maris now. Not around the outside of Podgeron, please don't do this. He backs out for now. He's going to think of the more sensible option, civilised option of the bus stop chicane. Into the bus stop chicane they go. He looks for the move. Oh, Maris, no. It's full contact for TVA Maris, and he
Maris
has to peel off into the pit lane.
Amaze is off. Amaze is off.
It's all kicking off.
We'd said every single time we turn up to Spa, there's always a barnstorm, and we've had that here today. Maris leaves the session, that's pretty much a retirement, and incredibly, there's 5 seconds now between third and second. We're on lap 7, everyone.
Well, we did say it was coming through sore and belly for the championship, and I think this race might just be about to confirm it. But nevertheless, what a race in the midfield we have been treated to. Maffio now is going to get the move done on Joseph, who, by the way, has had an incredible first few laps. I'm just trying to mention it, but these guys in the midfield just create carnage after carnage, chaos after chaos. But yeah, Joseph, from the back of the grid, he's halved his position. He's up to P7, over halved it now actually, as Matt and Crowding Door doing a battle into Bruxelles.
Yeah, I was on board with that battle. It was really good, actually. Fair play for Matt, because Crowding went a little bit deep through Lake Com, and Matt actually, brilliant racing knowledge, left the room on the inside to allow Crowding to come back on. That was brilliant racing between the two, and Matt comes out on top this time round. Amaze now rejoins and then is just behind these two battles. I'm sure he's going to want to get a move on. But Joseph F1, yeah, credit where credit's due for the Ferrari, who, no sense of a lie, has struggled in this first part of the season. Has pulled it together here. Of course, scored points at the first round of the season, and since then not really had the luck. But here today, has well and truly got their elbows out in these opening few laps, and is now on this battle for P5. Dynamo Dan has dropped a second to Jackster, and Jackster, I think, this is no respect for Dynamo Dan, but Jackster's got superior pace over Dynamo Dan naturally over one lap. This is a real chance for Jackster to bolt away as well and basically claim a very safe P3.
Yeah, he's impressed this season as Jackster. You know, he impressed in Kota. The safety car didn't work out to his advantage, but he then again, you know, he impressed again in Canada with I believe a top 5 finish. So yeah, Jackster.
Jack Tudor.
Was that Jack? Oh, he's round again. Stabilo.
Yeah, torrid weekend for Jack Tudor. That is a reset button needed. But yeah, sorry, going back to one of the other Jacks on the grid, the Jackster.
Yeah, he's been very impressive this season, and yeah, he backed up a good performance in Kota in Canada, and he's backing up that Canada result here in Spa as Maffio goes down the inside of F1 Ben into Lake Com.
Yeah, Aston Martin looking very strong here now with that position. Next up is Dynamo Dan on Maffio's hit list. Of course, Maffio, one of them that we mentioned in qualifying, has had a really good start to the season, as is Jackster. So Aston Martin, very much one of the dark horses really this season. Currently fourth in the constructors, but a good result here could see them go up to third or even possibly second, because it's only about 12 points. Oh no!
Matt's dropped out of No Name on his own. The rear of the car just didn't agree with what he tried to do, and he's just had a bit of a hard spin. He keeps out the barriers, but that can't stop him from dropping all the way down to P12, and now those rear tyres, albeit hard tyres, are really quite warm, shall we say.
Can't catch a break, can Matt 212 in this awful start to the season for Alfa Romeo, but nevertheless they still have one more trick up their sleeve, ace in the hole if you will, in LCR F1 Ben, who's currently trying to hold on to Maffio's DRS and is doing best to try and keep Joseph F1, who's had that awesome first couple laps behind them and is now closing in on, in fact more than closing in on the brakes, was pretty much squirming to the back of F1 Ben, but up towards the front we go for ever so slightly. and Melanie doing exactly what he needs to do, keeping the gap as minimal as possible to Sora. 2.5 seconds, I think, is more than achievable when you have the better tyres in this later part of this race.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, yeah, that's the gap Sora's managed to get out, and I think that is probably going to be the most he'll get out of those medium tyres in terms of a gap. I think, you know, the pace difference has neutralised, if you will, between the two. So 2.5 seconds is the most he's going to get. That's probably going to come down a little bit towards the end of Sora's stint, as you know, the crossover between the hard and the mediums, if you will, occurs.
Yeah, we've still got a long way to go. You never know what's going to quite happen as we go on board with this battle now, as Dynamo Dan has been caught by Mafio and this little train gaggling behind. So Dynamo Dan, Mafio, LCR from Ben and Joseph, all within a second of one another. So keep our tabs on this one. We've also then got a nice little battle behind as Amazed is ahead of Crowding Door, ahead of Violet, by the way. He's got himself into the points. So this is what we talked about in qualifying with these Williams drivers. Just got to keep themselves on the track, even if they know they're not the best. And currently, Violet is in the points.
Indeed, he is. You know, he's avoided the chaos. He's kept himself out of trouble as well, as we've seen quite a few people failing to manage. You know, lots of drivers have dropped on their own today. But yeah, Violet keeping his powder dry, and he's got a single point trophy at the moment as Sora into the pit lane. Here we go then. This is the key moment in terms of the battle for the win. Sora into the pits, onto the hard tyres. How's this going to play out? Who's going to win? Is it going to be Sora, or is it going to be Melanie? It looks set to be between these two, provided we don't have a safety car.
Now the crucial thing as well is traffic.
Yes.
You don't want, Sora does not want to be held up in traffic, and him, to be fair,
he's got a bunch
has
of it.
Come out in a torrid position for it. He's got these three ahead of Violet, Crowding Door and Amaze. Amaze will come in, so there will be two naturally. But nevertheless, here comes Mafia and Dynamo Dan, who's now just got the P3 on net, of course, and now goes back down to P4 as Mafio goes up the inside through towards Playcom. And the Aston Martins continue on this brilliant charge up the field. P2 and 3, but of course net P3, P4. Mafio once again showing his good set of skills, and I'm sure Ben is going to want to try and follow past Dynamo Dan as well.
Yeah, he indeed will. I think Ben is he's in a rhythm, and he's on for a good result, a much needed result, not just for him but for Alfa Romeo as a team, as you know, as a whole team. Alfa Romeo desperately need a result. It's not going to come from Matt. Can Ben deliver it? We're about halfway through, and he's looking good for at least a solid points finish.
Indeed, but we still are not even just halfway done, which feels crazy to think about, because we're talking about towards the end of the race the strategy and stuff, and we're not even halfway done. It just goes to show what the Belgian Grand Prix can be like. By the way, it looks to be set that we will continue our track record, which I can't believe this is a stat, by the way. I can't believe we've never had an LCR world race that's had rain in it. I can't believe that's not a stat.
Spa.
We're in Spa. At Spa.
I think
Dan sent it earlier into the chat.
so. I think what that stat refers to is we've never seen the intermediates, because I remember in season 9 towards the end, we, as Sora nearly goes to the back of Crowding Door, we had a bit of rain, quite, you know, if you remember, I think it was on like F1 2017, a bit on 2018 as well, where you got that rain. As Ben picks up an unneeded time penalty as a base off the track. Crowding Door picks up a time penalty. Hold on a minute. I'm talking about rain. It's all kicking off here. Violet is going to be the DRS of TMS Amaze. Can he put himself up into P7? Not quite. Not really the one we're going to send it to their comment. Doesn't quite have the angle to do so. Also F1 Ben, despite his time penalty, getting past Dynamo down up into P4 and a net P5.
Yeah, good move by Ben. I was on
Saw up the
that
inside
one.
of Crowding Door as well.
Yes, crucial move for this for Sora, trying to weave through the traffic. Gap, by the way, between Sora and Melanie, 15.9, so 16 seconds or so. Not on a very pit lane around here, so that gap is rather crucial. He's open a few laps, and now they're trying to follow past Amaze and Violet. Of course, these dropping their own little squabble themselves. It can't be too long until we see Amaze come into the pit. By the way, another pit stop just on the last lap, King 25 pitting for a set of the hard compound tyres, rejoins P12 in a sort of bit of no man's land last couple of laps, but was catching this little train ahead, so still a chance at some maybe lower end points in this round. on board with
Violet,
He's got a moment of
no!
fun into the wall, and that's crucial for Sora. Massive moment for the Williams, and Apex down in 14th. Violet's had to get themselves back going again, but further down the field. Oh, the team that we just told just need to keep it on the track, and there's chances because of the carnage around them. It's all unfolded.
Indeed it has. Stablo's claimed so many. And we're only halfway through this race. It's such a tricky corner to get through, especially, you know, on hard tyres, on race fuel, on this game in particular. It's such a tricky corner. The rear just naturally just wants to just step out of you, disagree with you. And, you know, it's a very tricky corner to really, you know, make the most out of. You have to almost play it safe through there. But you can't play it safe through there, especially in a train, because it kills your momentum all the way up through Planchemont up to the bus stop. It's such a tricky corner to get right. But yeah, it's claimed quite a few today, and at this rate, it won't be the last.
Yeah, it will not, but it's cleared Sora, and he's now caught up to the next car of Joseph F1, who's got a little bit of reprieve ahead of the flag waving, and Dynamo Dan! Oh no, Dynamo Dan, the Mystic Man, has made an awful mistake. He's now beached on that curve just before corner with no name, and funnels down the order. What could have been a really good result for the Haas has once again come unwound. And incredibly, Matt 2-1-2 is still an outside chance of the points. Sora's gone past Joseph. I think there's been contact between them two. Not too sure what's happened there, but Sora gets going again. There's now got 3 seconds left of clean air. It's just... We've had this problem at Brazil. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We just said DNF because everyone could keep it on the track. No one's been able to keep the car on the track. Belgium, we're 4 rounds in. They should have learned by now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference is in Brazil it was like contact with each other. You know, they came into contact with each other a lot. Here, they just can't keep on the track themselves. As Mafia and Ben into the pit lane.
Yeah, Mafia really concerned on the pit entry. Ben was on it. Make sure did not leave an inch in terms of the pit lane limit. Into the pits comes them, expected to be the medium tyres. Joseph and Crandall also into a very busy pit lane at the moment. We've got 4 cars in the pit box. Out of the pits then to come. Matt 2-1-2 is now going to go ahead of all of them. Is he going to go ahead of Mafia? We're going to see some team gamesmanship here. Let's see. There's
it's tight. He's going to have the run.
Right. Yeah, this is going to have to be. I'm sure Ben is screaming at Matt now to have a little pop down towards the Lakeham set. Just find a way past. Give me an opportunity. Here comes Matt 2-1-2. In a torrid season for Alfa Romeo. DRS wide open. Goes to the outside line, and he's going to surely find a way past towards Lake Con, and does. And now, Matt 2-1-2, park the bus.
Yep. Operation, make things as difficult as you possibly can for the Aston Martin behind you. I think for Matt at the moment. And obviously that will be for his teammate F1 Ben, whilst the medium tyres fire up. But yeah, Ben, despite a penalty, on for a really good result. This is Mafia once again on for a really good result. But eyes towards the front is Melanie now gonna make that stop this time around. Let's see, brake for the bus stop chicane. Is he into the pit lane? Indeed he is.
Would like to point out, gap still 15.9, 15.8 was not changed in the last few laps. It's been oh so crucial. And meanwhile, Matt 2-1-2 is being hounded, but let's go on board. And Melanie comes into the pits. Let's keep our eye. Jack's also in behind, so now pretty much everyone bar Matt 2-1-2 into the pit box. But as you can see, Mafio is still having the problem of finding the way past. Here comes Sora down towards turn 1. Let's keep our eye on this one for the moment. No sign of a move in the battle behind. Here comes Melanie out of the pit lane. What's the gap going to be as they come down towards that section? Oh, Matt's come into the pits, which has now reprieved them. I think probably Ben was hoping for one more lap potentially. Gap back 2.8, so only, realistically, Sora's only gained 3/10 in them fresh hards to old hards lap. The traffic has been awful for the Red Bull.
And indeed the fire up, as we mentioned before the formation lap, you know, he had to do that on cold hard tyres, wherever did Sora. Meanwhile, Matt went to the pit, I believe, for this eventuality. Mafia's still going to have DRS here. Ben is. Here comes Ben now to the inside line, up into P4, goes to Alfa Romeo. Job done. Brilliant teamwork from Alfa Romeo, and he gets Ben ahead of Mafia up into P4.
absolutely does. Brilliant work by Alfa Romeo, and I'm sure the Aston Martin is now wanting to get back on this bench, sliding through the Bruxelles hairpin. Maffio, though, was very, very aggressive on that
Alpine off. It's King Liam.
Oh, dearie me. King Liam off and out of the Belgian Grand Prix. Oh, dear. I thought that was potential chance for some tail end points then, really, after he'd made that pit stop, but not to be, and goes out of the session. We've lost 3 now from this race. We've lost Maris, Rotmoro and King Liam. Not sure how he really wanted to come back after, of course, winning, let's not forget, back in season 5.
Yes.
Way back when, in a Renault/Alpine.
That is true. It's throwback, isn't it?
It's a little bit. It's the first event I actually had a look. It was over 4 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Time flies, doesn't it? Time flies.
It does indeed. When you're having fun, we are having fun here today at Belgium, at the Belgian Grand Prix. Go up towards the front. Let's just keep our tabs on this one. Gap 2.7. F1 Ben, fastest of all. Ben has it's just got it right. I know Crowdendor goes fastest behind them. Is actually closing up to a mate. But yeah, I don't know what's happened to this Alpha. It just seems to have found a rhythm, like you said earlier in this Grand Prix, and it's working to perfection. Yeah,
indeed. I mean, I know from the past, depending on the game, although, hold on a minute, I think Maffio is going to claim this position right back, and here he goes to the outside, does the Aston Martin, and it's as easy as that with a bit of overtaking DRS, and Maffio is back up into P4 ahead of the Alfa Romeo. That battle could rage on for the rest of the race with how powerful the DRS is around Spa, although, let's see, can Ben hold on to Maffio in the middle sector?
Yes, let's see indeed, but at the moment, I think Maffio has got one over on Ben, but still plenty of time left to go. Meanwhile, I believe Violet and Matt continuing the battle. And Alfa Romeo versus Williams battle that had become a bit common in the first 2 rounds as Jack Tudor.
This round again.
I think there's no word for it really, is that Jack Tudor has had one of the worst race weekends I have seen in my 7 years in league racing. It has just been torrid. It's just been spin after spin after spin.
It's going to help Melody out here with some DRS, I think.
Yeah, it actually is. Yeah, it'd be nice. I'm sure Melody's not complaining about that, but Jack Tudor himself is just breaking it.
Yeah, there you go. Probably not much down the pit straight, but still a bit of DRS. I'll give him another further 10th or 2, which Sora will not appreciate one bit, but Melody will take every little bit he can get. But yeah, 1.5 seconds now the gap between Sora and Melanie. We are set for a very entertaining battle for the lead, I do believe, as we enter the closing stages of this Belgian Grand Prix.
Yep, don't go tuning out just yet. We've got a fight for the lead in our hands, and we've still got some fights as well in the mid-pack. Look out for this battle for P4 between Maffio and Ben. Crowdendor closing in still on TMS and Mage, because all of them have time penalties, and if Joseph F1 can get within that range, could potentially be on for it. Crowdendor, by the way, 6 seconds worth of penalties, so, you know, currently on to beat Joseph F1 currently on to beat Crowdendor at this moment in time, but we'll keep tabs on all the battles as well. But 1.1 seconds through the middle sector, and Melanie has voluntarily got their mediums into that optimal window for the next few laps, as Joseph, now going to make me eat my words, because get a free
right on cue, eh? Right on cue, the commentator's curse. Always appears at some point, doesn't it?
It's always prominent, it's always somewhere about there.
Can't escape it.
No, but up towards the front, gap under a second now, and it looks to be like if it's not this lap, it might be next lap. And the lap times, they're not exactly running out. There's still plenty of opportunities for Melanie in this one.
Indeed there are, and he's obviously got that ever so crucial DRS now. He's within that 1 second. Is the Mercedes. Is he on for his first race victory of the season? Is the Flying Finn. It'll be a much needed victory in terms of his title charge, going for his second LCR world title. Is the Flying Finn. It'll be a much needed victory. Potentially, with the form Sora's been in, a must win. The time will tell whether that'll be the case later on in the season.
This very much sets apart these two as being the main two for the season at the moment. As a spinner, and I think Crowdendor has made a mistake. got back going again. Just behind Joseph.
So Joseph's getting that position.
Here goes Melanie towards the outside line, towards Laycom, and I don't think Sora's going to have it. Why is the camera changed there? It changed at the wrong moment. I apologise for that one, but Melanie is crucially ahead of TMS Sora, and now can scat like a cat and a bat well and truly out of hell.
Indeed he can, and he's going to check out, I believe, and he's going to just bring this home now, just break the DRS like Sora did to Melody just 1 week ago. Melody's now going to return the favour in Spa-Francorchamps, and he's going to cruise away. He's already out of the 1 second window, and provided he can keep it on the black stuff, I think it's going to be a first race victory of the season for the Flying Finn.
And rightly so, as Matt 212 gets the time penalty down in P10, currently 10 seconds clear of Dynamo Dan, so should be safe in that one. It means that a little bit less means he's got to get past Violet and get 3 seconds clear to get P9 further down in the field. But yeah, Melanie now just got to check out and has done just that, and now all Sora's got to do is just keep really on the black stuff and, you know, watch the gap to Jackster. Just got to make sure there's nothing silly really in the closing laps.
Yeah, obviously, as we said, Melanie's got to keep on the black stuff to bring home P1. Sora has to keep on the black stuff to basically limit to the best damage limitation he possibly can and bring home P2. Will he have hope of those tyres fading out towards the end? I don't think so, not for him to at least get back in the DRS, although he's going to give it a good go, is the Red Bull and our championship leader.
Now, of course, we don't get the lovely information of the weather report. We know the story of rain here at Spa. It's going to be cloudy in the past couple of hours.
It has.
I don't want to jinx anything, but it's just something to know.
This actually brings me on to my point of season 9, where we had that. I was trying to mention it earlier, then it all kicked off. But yeah, in season 9 we had that rain, like if you remember on F1 2017 or 18 or basically any previous F1 game, where it rained like quite a bit, at least enough for intermediates. But for some reason the track won't get wet enough for the intermediate tyre. It just you down the slick tyres the entire time. That was the rain we got in season 9. We had a solid amount of rain for about 7 laps, but we just never got onto the intermediates. Could we see some rain in the closing laps? Will there be a lot more than just that fine bit of rain? Is he going to chuck it down proper Spa style and chuck it down in the remaining few laps to maybe get those intermediates and finally get that little bit of a wet race that somehow we have never had in Spa?
Yeah, it'd be interesting as well to see that if we do, to have that crucial thing, because it was such a long lap round here that if it's like last lap and it suddenly becomes like inters are better, you might see some people dart in, some people stay out because they might not think the gap's big enough for it. It's such a daft thing that you see usually, and I have seen it before in league races, but we've still got, that's what we've got 4 laps left to go of the Belgium Grand Prix, and barring any late dramatics, it is going to be Melanie and Sora at the head of the two, and then Jackster I think is kind of gap. I was watching the gap between the two Aston Martins, is actually Crowden Door, goes to the inside, and this battle between Crowden and Joseph has been kicking off last week, so keep tabs on it. But I was watching it originally, Mafia was closing in on Jackster, and then we kind of lost a little bit of time, but is now back once again at closing in. I don't think it's enough that it's going to warrant a problem for Jackster, but the two Aston Martins, you know, sort of trading blows, you know.
Yeah, probably not quite enough laps to reel in that 5-second gap that he needs to reel in. Ben has managed to stay within the DRS of Mafio, so he's being dragged along as well. So, yeah, if it wasn't for his penalty, he'd be in a very good position. Joseph has got that, that battle has been raging on. Crowding!
Oh my god.
An awfully too familiar flashback to Brazil. This time he keeps on the road. But yeah, Crowding Door. Stop it, he's lost it again.
Oh my.
Right, let's.
He's like a London bus, isn't he? He doesn't spin for a long time and suddenly spins all at once.
Yeah.
Oh no, well done then.
when it's in this kind of form, it's not fun. Depends who you are and depends what you enjoy. It's either brilliant to watch or it's really terrifying, depending on who you are. With watching Crowding Door sometimes. Gosh.
It becomes the epitome of when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, it really is.
When you see Crowden door, but getting himself back going again, 1.4 seconds behind Joseph, hopefully going to try and catch back up. Ben, by the way, has been gapped to a second now from Matthew.
It's close. It's very
Any
close.
Chance of last-ditch attempt going at him, but let's see if he has a source. I think Ben burned a little bit of battery there just to make sure
he's going to burn a bit here as well.
Window.
Oh, he's backed off. I think he's lost it. We'll find out. Well, if he had lost it, I've lost it now, because that's very wide throw region ready on, and yeah, the DRS doesn't pop open, and he has lost the DRS to Mafio, so Mafio can probably just stroll away, no pun intended, and claim a very well done, and well, that confirms that Ben picked up a second time penalty. But yeah, Mafio can now, well, I'll say it again, stroll away and cruise home to another well-earned P4 finish.
Yeah, in terms of gaps further down that could be crucial towards the end, if Violet can catch 3 tenths to Crowding Door, he could actually steal P8 away from him in a really good solid 4 points, considering Violet, of course, had that mistake earlier on. Does almost beg the question what could have been for Violet, obviously having that spin, and had the front wing change as well. So you had a couple of seconds off, take another couple of seconds off of the front wing, and could have been up there with the likes of Amazed and Joseph in the later stage of this race. But 2 laps to go of the Belgian Grand Prix. And what is sensational about this, by the way, this is only going to be win number 6 in Melanie's LCR tenure. I think that's incredible.
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's definitely yeah, it reminds me of Joan Mir of MotoGP. Doesn't really win a lot, but yet still will always be a title contender. Yeah, it really is just Mr. Consistent. It is Melanie, and he obviously has that title in season 11. And yeah, he's now going to finally pick up his first race victory of the season, really set alight his title charge. And it looks set for a good old 1v1 between himself and TMS Sora for the crown in LCR season 13.
Yeah, of course, is a part of a prestigious club as well as that you are a member of, one of only 8 out of the 39 individual race winners in LCR World history, and also out of the list of 172 LCR World drivers. One of only 8 to win on the debut, of course. Remember that back at Monaco season 5. And it was really, really good to play. Season 6, season 5, I can't remember.
Well, season 5 I won.
Wasn't season 5, but season 6. It was season 6.
Did we have on the calendar for season 6? I can't remember. I know he won it in season 9.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I'm reading it now. First win, season 6, Monaco.
Yes, correct. It was. I remember now. Yeah, I wasn't very happy with how it occurred, but yeah, he did win that race.
Yeah, but Melanie, of course, part of that prestigious club, but one more lap to go left for him, crucially, by the way, further down the grid. And Maisie just picked up 6 seconds worth of penalties. Doesn't really mean too much, but it does mean that has a last lap moment and loses 1.5 seconds. Joseph could snatch that P6 away, but last lap is now begun. I suppose it's the Daytona 24 at the minute, so I suppose they would say white flag, as they now come round towards the final few sections. And yeah, the gap will crucially close up in the championship. It will go from 20 to 13 between the top 2, and of course the next drive behind is is Amazed on 34, who is down in P6, and I'm pretty sure realistically the only driver that's going to actually properly catch is Mafio, who of course is in P4, which I think might overtake Amazed for P3 in the championship, which given the Aston Martin has just got better and better. But the main talking point is on the Flying Finn. It's about time that his first win of the season. I think this could be the first of a few.
Yes, indeed, and well, with the form Sora's been in, it's going to have to be the first of a few, because otherwise Sora's just going to keep up, rack it up. Even if Melly is going to constantly finish second, that gap's going to go up 7 by 7 by 7. So Melly's going to have to win races this season if he wants to stop Sora. And well, this is one of them, provided he can keep it on the road for, well, he's still got Stablo, I guess, to get through, so I'm going to hold my breath until he gets through there. Let's just hold our horse for a second. Is he through Stavlo? Yes, he is. I think we can now safely assume that Melanie is going to bring home this race victory. His first of the season. first for Mercedes, I believe, as well.
Yep,
Strong drive from Melanie.
It is indeed, round towards the final couple of corners, and well, they often say that the PC is well and truly the master race. The lone PC driver on the grid will take victory as Melanie wins the Belgian Grand Prix and brings the gap down to second place man TMS Sora, the champion-elect. Done all he could with the hand he was well and truly given. Jackson will bring home P3 for Aston Martin and can celebrate his first podium of the season, maybe even his first in his LCR tenure. Maffio once again strong, once again P4, and finally the OG Voice and the Alfa Romeo team get their points on the board. It's been a torrid start to the season, gets P5 today. TMS remains P6, Joseph comes home P7, Clarendorf P8. I don't think Violet's going to catch the 7/10 through the last corner, so he will finish P9, and Matt 212 makes it a double point finish for Alfa Romeo. Dynamo Dan, the Mystic Man, wonders what could have been for the Haas team, having that spin that well and truly cost him, and he was stuck on that curb for about 15 years. P11, and it's Apex 13, Apex 12, Jack Tudor 13. I'll get there in the end. And that, well and truly, was a story to witness. The past hour and 15 minutes have been a spectacle. Thank you, as always, to the Belgian Grand Prix.
Yes, thank you, Belgium. Thank you, Spa. What a race it has produced yet again. Despite the lack of weather, for whatever reason, it always produces here in LCR, and it's produced Melanie's first race victory of the season, although less of that, please, on the podium.
I would like to make an official announcement. Melanie has been disqualified for the Grand Prix for awful podium celebrations.
Yeah, I think we can safely hand this victory to Sora and probably the championship as a result. So, anyway, pretty easy side. Melanie is the victor here in Spa. A composed drive, did what he needed to do. Had a bit of fortune with the hand Sora was given, but he'll take it nevertheless. The gap is down to 13 points as we arrive next week at Imola.
Indeed we do, and we continue this European tour. The championship gap has well and truly closed, but where will we go next? Well, we know the location, but we don't know the story that continues to be told. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Nutted, he's been Leopard, and we'll see you same time, same place next week as we travel to Imola, Italy for round number 5. Thank you again, and goodbye.
Bye.